Alrighty. Chapter 2. This is in the Beck book again. Requirements for the practice of therapeutic massage. What is scope of practice? This is our rule. Scope of practice defines the rights and activities legally acceptable according to the licenses of a particular occupation or profession. It directly relates the skills gained by. It's directly related to skills gained by training or education. It's usually regulated nationally or by state boards. So think of like a doctor, what their scope of practice is. All right. They can diagnose, right? We can't diagnose, right? Surgeons, they can perform surgery. We can't perform surgery. I hope not. So each occupation will have their scope of practice, especially in the medical world. So the state board is who owns us and our license, basically. So their responsibilities are to interpret massage laws and form rules to enforce these laws. They will lay the smack down if you're being bad, all right? So don't do stupid things. They approve your applications. So once you take your test and pass it, then you have to go on the state board website and apply for your license. At the end of the year, I'll give you a checklist. They're also responsible for overseeing testing and licensing procedures. And they will protect the public because the public can complain and file any kind of complaint they want on you. All right. And then they have to go investigate and all that. They're also in charge of issuing disciplinary actions for licenses. They can, as easy as you getting a DUI or OVI, whatever they're called these days, they can suspend your license for something like that. So don't do stupid things. Get an Uber, right? So they are in charge of our license. How do we obtain license? All right. Some local laws, not Ohio, so you don't have to worry about this, adopt ordinances to kind of help curb the unethical practices. And this is actually real, the second part here. We will have to do a criminal background check to become licensed. So if you have a felony on your record or you have a medical license that has been suspended or revoked, there is a really good chance that they might not give you a license. So look into it. You might want to call the medical board yourself and say, hey, I have this on my record. If I go through massage school, can I still get my license? All right. Misdemeanors, they tend to look. And it also depends on the felony. You have to, when applying, explain why you have that felony. All right. So getting your license, we will be fingerprinted. So we can't commit murders. They will find us. And have the background check done. So most ordinances have been replaced by state law. So that's where we are at in Ohio. Requirements. I'm going to go to this fun little box on the side here. Requirements, you must be 18 years old and have a high school diploma, right? In order to even take the course to get your license. You have to complete massage therapy training, right? By an accredited school, don't worry, we are accredited. Then you have to pass the written exam. This is called the NBLEX, and pay a licensing fee. The NBLEX is about, I think, under $300. It's $265, I think, and the license is another couple $100, right? So it's a big chunk of change. If you're practicing in a different state, you must have that state license. So if any of you are trying to stay around the border here and work in West Virginia and Ohio, you're going to need a license for both states to legally be able to do that. Let's see here. State licensing requirements. You have to pay for your licensing fee. Some states require CEUs, so every other year we have to pay another, I don't know, can't remember it, $100 or something to get your license renewed. Ohio's trying to change their law, so by the time you graduate, you guys might have to start doing CEUs to reinstate your license. I don't know how many yet, but as news comes to us, I will let you guys know. You have to pass the MBLEX. The MBLEX, I'll go through all that. It is taken on a computer, and you find out before you leave if you have passed. I have not taken the MBLEX. I am grandfathered in. I took something called the State Medical Board, which was not on a computer. We had to fill in like the little bubbles like a proficiency test. It was terrible. And I had to wait like, I don't know, 2 months to find out what my result was in the mail. All right, so things have changed, so.
You have to do a hands-on part too.
No hands-on, all written. Yeah, so if you suck at massage, you're still good if you're good academically. No hands-on, so that would suck. So, let's talk about the MBLEX a bit. Why not? It's fun. It was created in 2007, right? It is 100 questions. There is a fee to pay, all right? And then for the massage, again, I said biannual renewal, and some might require CEUs. But for the MBLEX, I'll have to give it to you. I have a paper that actually shows all of this. There's 100 multiple choice questions based on these things here. Anatomy and physiology, kinesiology, which is going to be everybody's favorite. That's sarcasm. Pathology, contraindications, assessment, benefits, and so on, right? And I have a paper, I'll get it to you guys, with literally a breakdown of the percentage of how many questions of each is on the test. All right, so it's a lot. It's not just rubbing people. Rub it up. And don't worry, I will help prepare you guys. We are going to do MBLEX review last semester. You're going to be so sick of it. And I'm hoping I get 100% pass rate from y'all. I'm really close with my last class, so we'll see how it goes. Other medical fields. There are some practitioners out there or medical people that can still do massage that are exempt from our laws, all right? So the people that are allowed to actually do what we call therapeutic massage, so massage to help people, right, would be physical therapists, some doctors, some registered nurses, osteopaths, chiropractors, athletic trainers, podiatrists. So they're all allowed to do massage, but they call it manual therapy, all right? The difference between what they can do and what we can do is education. We are not allowed to diagnose or prescribe a medicine or medical intervention. We can't say, oh, you have a pinched nerve, because we are diagnosing. We could say, you might have a pinched nerve. I would check with your doctor, all right? So be very careful when you're talking with clients in the future and, our practice clients, that we are not allowed to tell them what is wrong with them if we were to be diagnosing them, right? There's loopholes. My sister-in-law is always like, I think they have Ehlers-Danlos. I'm like, you can't tell them that. You can't tell them that. So just be mindful of that. All right. When having a massage business, you need to abide by local laws, rules, and regulations. Some places might require you to get a permit. All right. It depends on the county you live in or the city. You have to have an active professional massage license to take money from the public. Right? And then my advice to you is if you end up having employees and you're working for yourself and have a business, only hire people that are licensed, right? Back home we got some rule breakers, but it'll make your business look better, okay? And then once we get our license, we have to display that license at work for the public to see. You can put it in a waiting room, you can put it in your massage room, but your license has to be visible in case they need to complain about you. So that's fun. All right, educational requirements. So the AMTA, right here, this guy, requires schools to have a curriculum of at least 500 class hours. We're above that. Ohio's higher than just your national level. And then either cities or municipal areas might require no education or up to 1,000. So remember, again, I'm going to keep forcing this down your throat that each state manages its own massage laws. And then in 2014, Entry Level Analysis Project developed a report that they thought maybe they discovered that the minimum should be 625 hours. All right. And then some states, not Ohio yet, requires continued education courses. And also, both of these guys will give you free CEUs as being a member. So I'm always going on there. They have like 1 hour ones where you can just watch an hour, take a test, and then they give you your certification for completing that online course. So if you could do it for free, might as well. That's awesome. All right. Revoked, suspended, or canceled license. It can happen. All right. If you're guilty of fraud or deceit in obtaining your license, all right, you can be in trouble. I'm trying to see here if it's on here. There's a lot of things. But basically, from the mouth of the state medical board, it is a felony to practice massage therapy and say you are a massage therapist without a license. Now, it's a very minor felony, but it's still a felony. So while you're in school, let people know you are a student and that you're not allowed to charge money. Now, if they give you a tip, that's not a big deal, right? But you're not allowed to charge money. You're not allowed to call yourself a massage therapist. Right now, you are a student. You can say, I'm a student of massage, but you are not a therapist at all. Don't do it. I'm trying to prevent you guys from heartache in the future. If I find that you start a business, you will be in trouble. All right? Please wait till you get your license before starting a business, because who knows if you're even going to pass your test, right, and get your license. We've had in the past, one student almost got kicked out of the program because she continued to work. So don't do it. Please, I will find you. Like taken. Ethical or sexual misconduct with a client can cause suspension. All right, a past or a current engagement in prostitution, lying about your CEU completion, lacking proper liability insurance. So you will get your student liability insurance as soon as you get licensed. You better pay for the real insurance, all right, because you don't want that lapse in case something happens and you hurt somebody, right? Where am I at? Practicing under a false or assumed name. And this is mainly like if you're saying you're an LMT or a massage therapist and you're not, right? Having been convicted of a felony or non-disclosure of a past legal issue. They need to know everything. If you're addicted to narcotics, alcohol, right, that might interfere with job. If somebody, I actually have a student, I'm not going to say it on here. I'll tell you guys later. But she got in trouble because somebody turned her in, right, for being under the influence and lost her license. All right, so don't do stupid things. All right, being willfully negligent in practice or endangering a client on purpose. We're not allowed to prescribe drugs or medicine. Being guilty of fraudulent or deceptive advertising or practicing out of our scope. There is, I heard of somebody locally doing dry needling, and they got in trouble. All right, we are not allowed to do that. All right, cool. License versus certification. There's a difference. We're going to go straight to the right side column, certification. This is awarded by Belmont College when you finish. It does not mean that you are a certified massage therapist, all right? So don't make up crap, right? In order to be certified, you have to complete your hours, all right? I guess the board certified, there is a hands-on. Oh, just kidding. That's at school. We also have to have our CPR certification, so we're going to make sure everybody gets through that this year, too. Background check, all that. They're going to make you watch a human trafficking video, right? Because it happens. I actually helped close a prostitution place that was doing human trafficking in Cambridge, Ohio, a couple years ago. So it happens, all right? So be very careful. And these idiots were right next to the sheriff department. Come on. Anyhow, so the licensing is different than certification. You get certified, you get a certification when you complete the program. License issued by state. Got it? Cool. It's established under a government authority, as in the Ohio branch, right? They obtain the level of education and have the pass exam, the NBLEX. And then here, last but not least, practicing without a license may result in criminal penalties. Penalties. Felony. Wow. Stay up to date with research literacy. This part I have to go over, but it's kind of, right? There are actual sources that you can reference for real medical, practices and trials, clinical trials. So you can look into that. There was one that I was reading about cupping. So there's like literal clinical trials on the effects of massage cupping and all kinds of stuff if you want to read about that. And if you're an overachiever, all right? The research literacy would include an ability to look up the information, to validate whether it's true, so that we can modify or confirm our practice standards, all right? So all this has evidence-informed outcomes. So here are some websites you guys can check out if you're interested at all. So then there's also the steps of the scientific method. Remember, science class from like middle school or the scientific method, right? You come up with something, right? Have a hypothesis, make that prediction, conduct the experiment, report the findings, and then you can refine the hypothesis if it's not where you wanted it to be, right? So that's what your scientific method is. And all these clinical trials are kind of going to go based off of a scientific method. Case reporting. So case reporting, there's a study for healthcare providers regarding one client interaction or a series of interactions. So that's what a report is. A case study is based on the whole theory, right? So you have your report based on your case study, right? We're not going to do case studies here. We're going to massage people and do something called soap notes, all right? You'll learn all about that. The standardized format for case reports developed by Massage Therapy Foundation would be your care guidelines. There's more about in the book about that if you care to know more about care guidelines. I'm not really going over them because I don't think it's important. All right. Reliability of evidence. How can you tell if research is reliable? It's not Google or on Facebook, right? There's standardized findings. You can repeat information. It's predictable. And there's usually funding, but it can affect bias. So this little magenta oval I have over here says, because of valued research, hospitals and government agencies include massage therapy as a safe and effective treatment option for health and wellness because of these studies. So that's cool, right? All right. So this is funny, but it's kind of true. Massage practitioners should be physically and mentally fit and free of communicable diseases. I don't care if you're fit, right? But you cannot have a contagious disease and be touching people, right? So that's why we're going to learn all about safety and communicable diseases and stuff like that. And it might be the next chapter. I'm not sure. But some states or employers require a health certificate or written confirmation of fitness from a physician. I know that they were kind of toying with the idea of letting local ordinances or cities control more about us to kind of help the stop of prostitution in our field. And if that bill passes, we might, if the city makes it necessary, each city, you might have to actually, when applying for that business, do a health evaluation. I think that's dumb, but they want to kind of weed out people doing inappropriate things in our field. So I think they should just do more rando checks. So, all right, that's the end of that chapter. Cool. We're going to take a little break.